Welcome to Orange Appeel Network. A little bit of our summer view this time. Roosevelt, Bouie, Dale Shackleford, your host here with Syracuse Basketball. Later on down the line, we'll be doing other sports. But today, Roosevelt and I will be discussing some of the importance of what Syracuse players and any players should do during the off season, to get themselves better.
Yes, it was pretty interesting because after we did our last show, I got a lot of interest in what are the players going to be doing to get better in the off season. How are they going to try to fit in? And I remember the one thing. Remember how we used to, when it was time for the preseason, everybody worked to get better because there's going to be spots available. So they're going to want to try to get those spots. And so everything for next year is going to be starting soon with the captain's practices. And these captain's practices are basically guys feeling each other out, seeing what they got to work on, and trying to show the coach that they can fit into the program. So during the summer, what were some of the things that you did to get ready for the next year?
Well, my summers were kind of messed up because every year I finished the season, I came back in a different position. So, I was very fortunate. My freshman year, I came in, not knowing what to expect. We had, three other guys that were at the small forward position. Myself, Billy Keys, Reggie Powell. But also that year they had four guys returning from the Final Four team. So it was a tough time to try to break into the lineup or whatever. And I was very fortunate that we had 2 6'8" centers that Coach Danforth at the time wasn't too happy with. So, with my high school coaches and stuff like that, I learned how to play my back in the basket. Even though I was only 183 pounds, Coach Danforth stuck me in that center. So in that sense, I had learned a lot of things from, my high school coaches that would prepare me for that position. And the following year, I went to a small forward, and, you came in at center, so now I had to change to another position where I had to, get out and run a little bit more, which I hate running, but on a basketball court, I'm okay. And I wasn't a great shooter, but I could score. So, that gave me a little leeway on some of the other guys that were limited in their game. I don't have to shoot jump shots in order to be productive. I played good defense. I got offensive rebounds and things like that. I ran out on the fast break. And sophomore year was very good. And then the next year we lost all our guards. We lost Jimmy Williams, Larry Kelly, Larry Arrington, and we had inexperienced guards coming in with Eddie Moss, Hal Cohen, and Marty Head. Yeah. So myself and Ross Kendall were the upperclassmen, and my junior year I got thrown in as a 1 and 2 guard. And again, not a great shooter, but defensively I was good. And I ran on the fast breaks. We pressed a lot, so I got a lot of steals, got a lot of easy baskets that way. And then my senior year, I mixed it a little bit in with power forward and 1 guard, depending on the situation where we had Hal Cohen and Marty on the floor together, try to get those guys open for shots, and also get the ball to Roosevelt and Lewis. And when Rosie wasn't in that position, or Rosie was being pressured in the low post area, then coach could throw me in that low post area, and we could be very productive. So every player has different roles. Every player should prepare themselves a little differently, and hopefully with Rosie and I today, we can break down each player that's coming back next year on what they should do over the summer to make themselves better and make themselves valuable to Syracuse basketball.
Yes, that was, and the other thing that's good that you can do during the summertime is you've got to learn the guys that you're playing with. Even though it's not, you're getting minutes playing with guys that you can possibly play with during the year. Also, you want to show the coaches like, hey, I came here to play. I'm going to give it everything I got, and you want to try to impress on them your work ethic. And then there's also the times you go and find out from the coaches, because one thing coach will do, he'll come out and he'll tell you exactly what he expects of you and he wants for you for that next year. Find those things out and then go in, make a plan, go out there and play with guys that you're going to be playing with. Communicate well, learn how to play defense together. Understand, I knew that when I got the ball, if I could get the ball out as quick as I could to a guard, I knew for a fact that you'd be streaking down the other side and you'd create a problem for them. You're important on our team because we could put you at 2 or 3 different positions that didn't match up. See, I understood that, okay, if we got a big center playing me, I'll make that guy play me, and on the other side, they would play a 2 guard. 2 guards like to score. they don't like to play defense, they like to score. So if Dale could get them down low by having the benefit of having played in the post back to the basket, you put them in a difficult situation. During the summer, that's when you try to figure all of these things out so that you can use to your advantage.
And saying that, just so people don't get the wrong idea, Coach prepared me for that. At the end of the season, he told me what we had coming back the next year and where I was going to be as far as being able to play on this team for the next year. So it wasn't that I was, out of the loop or it hit me by surprise. When I came back in the end of August, September, I knew over the summer that I was changing positions, so I had 3 months to work on that position and try to get better at that position, or at least try to understand it to where I was able to be on the floor.
And one of the key things that you mentioned last time we spoke was when you're on the bench, every time coach comes back and looks down that bench, you should be like you're about to jump up and run off the court, because sooner or later he'll go, get in there, because you got to show him that you're ready, you know what's going on the floor. That is so very important. And run on the court, run off the court. Don't waste any time. Get back there, find out what he's got to say, listen, because if he knows that you're going to do things that he tells you to do, he'll be more apt to put you back in the game.
But I'll tell you a little secret. The coach would take me out if he was giving me a breather, or if I was playing bad, or if I had a bad matchup. I'd go sit on the bench for a minute or so, and I go right back to the coach. The coach, I'm ready to go back in. He look at me sometimes like I'm crazy, but guess what? I'm letting him know that I'm into the game I want to play. I'm not going to go down to the bench and sulk because he takes me out. No, I'm going to go get my little rest, and when he's done evaluating what's going on the floor, then I'm going to get right back next to him and say, okay, I'm ready to go back in the game.
See, Dale was a bit more aggressive at it. Me, what I did is that I sat on the end of my chair. So when he looked at me, I was about to slide off on the floor like I'm ready to go. So you try to let everyone know that everybody out there knew that you want to get back in the game, you want to play. And the other thing that now with the different players that are coming back, now keep in your mind, I know as a fan you want a player to come in and play like a Derek Coleman or Billy Owens, but you gotta look at the team and see what that team needs. Look at the characteristics of that player and see what they are, and allow him to come in and to realize what he can do to help Syracuse team play. That's very important. Don't project what you want him to do, because everybody wants a first-round draft pick. Don't need a first-round draft pick to win a national championship. You need the players that's willing to say, hey, I'm going to do the best I can for this team.
Well, you sacrifice and you play within the boundaries of your team.
Yeah.
We talked to Merrick Dolce last week, and he was presented the same question. Merrick says, my main goal is right now is to try to put on a little bit of weight, get myself a little bit stronger, and have confidence in my shooting. Merrick has a great game. He's a very smart player. He can pass the ball well. He rebounds well. He plays defense well. He's just got to have a little more confidence in his shot. Physically, he's got to get stronger because he gets beat up a little bit too much, and he takes the brunt of most guys' best shot. Yeah. And sooner or later, the body's going to wear out, and he's got to be able to build himself up a little bit strength-wise, where he can handle that throughout a 40-minute game.
The thing I really like about Merrick is, when you play in that position, you've got to be big and strong, and you've got to be in your mind capable of being where you need to be to make everything happen. He already knows the position. He gets a great position. You let him put on a few more pounds, get a little bit stronger down there. I came in at 190, and the next year I came back at like 210, and I did everything except beat on my chest and swing from a rope. I thought I was like Tarzan. I felt that extra 10 pounds. I was like, oh man.
Now you're getting carried away. You might have been like Cheetah. I don't know about Tarzan, but that was a good analysis. You did come back a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and you had more confidence in yourself.
Exactly.
You came back. That 1 year under your belt can do you justice if you apply it the right way. You have to want to get better. Yeah. You don't want to stay on an even keel. Everybody's talking about the next level. No, you got to participate on this level first. Take care of the level you're on, then you worry about the next one.
Another thing that when they asked me that question and I responded back, I said, probably if I had to say one thing that helped me improve the most in a short period of time, it was when I was playing with USA Basketball. Syracuse University went to Italy. We went and we played against their pro teams over there, and Hey, we were playing against grown men.
Yeah, I think we were like 1-8 or something like that.
We got roasted.
I think the only game we won, we went out to a restaurant and I chugged a bottle of wine and the old lady wanted to throw me out. So, the Italian guys had explained to her, we hadn't won a game the whole time we were here, and I was celebrating the win. So, and then I learned how to respect the Italian restaurants. You don't chug a bottle of wine out of the bottle. You pour it in a glass and you sip it. So, I got a little culture shock at that point.
Yeah, that was while they were while he was testing the wine. That's when I first I had the benefit of I didn't know how to I couldn't run distance. I didn't really know how to run distance. But when I went to on the 14th floor, on the 11th floor, room number 14, that's where I was. In the corner, in the corner suite was Kevin Harrison, who used to run the 15K. He was on the track team. So he watched me and he said, "I want to take you out and show you how to do this." And he took me out and he said, "First of all, you guys bounce too much. When you bounce, your shoulders get tight, your chest gets tight, and squeezes your lungs." And he said, "Move your arms smoothly." He said, "And don't do that sprint thing." He said, "Do about 3 or 4 sprint steps and then open your stride up." And he said, "Don't bounce, just barely pick your feet up, but move as fast as you can." I was like, "Wow." He said, "Let me take you out and I'll show you, we'll go for a run." So we went for this run, we take off, we run, I'm right there with him, and then we come back and we sprint the last 200 yards. He goes, up until that point, I had not run more than a mile. I come back and she goes, "Well, how far do you think you went?" And I was like, "Oh, about a mile." He goes, "No, we just went 8 miles. And I was like, wow. But just by learning how to do it, so I would have to say, Kevin, if you're listening, thanks a lot, because that made my life a whole lot easier. So I was out in Italy while you were tasting the wine. I was out running around because I came back and then I went and played with the USA national team in Moscow, where I played with Magic Johnson and I played with Irvin Johnson because he wasn't Magic yet, and it was a bunch of guys. But that taught me that what I learned at Syracuse, I'm setting picks and blocking shots and running plays and working with my other teammates. I came back and I was like, man, I'm from Kendall, New York, and I just went to Moscow and we played in games with some of the best players in the country, and the rules are still the same no matter what team you play with. And I only knew these guys for like a month. And I was like, wait a minute, I've been playing with my guys at Syracuse. I know them inside and out. Let's take advantage of those things to help my team get better.
Oh yeah, and in saying that, before we took that trip to Italy, I played with the ECAC All-Star team, and we toured Yugoslavia. Oh. And we had Tom Davis was the coach from Boston College, and we had guys like Michael Brooks, Jeff Rulin, John Dern from Georgetown, Bob Roma played at Princeton, and we had guys that were actually stars on their team, and we had a collective group of guys that got along well, and this is an all-star team. Everybody is a star in their own right at their own college. Yeah. But you get a group of guys together like that can say, okay, I'm going to just sacrifice just for the cause, just for the team, and that's what it's about. And that's where a lot of teams fail, is that you got too many individuals that want to be the star all the time. You're not capable of doing that, because if you can't get the other guys involved and you can't have a mutual happiness within your group, they always say that one bad apple spoils the bunch. And here at Syracuse, that one sour orange can spoil the bunch if somebody's not keeping everybody on the straight and narrow. And that's where you got to have a strong players on your team, not strong physically, mentally, where you can talk to each other, talk to the other players. Even if you got to grab them by the collar of their shirt and say, okay, listen, you got to calm down, let's do this, let's do that. That's part of being a leader. And you don't have to run your mouth all the time, but just guess what? Be the coach on the floor. Be that person that your teammates is going to look up to for advice, encouragement, and help them stay on track on what you're trying to do as a team.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of the most important things that I learned from that trip, is that I wanted to be the guy sitting there. We're trying to run our plays weren't working, so I would go over and I'd set a back pick and knock the paint off of somebody, and I kind of liked that. But the other guys on this all-star team were like, man, Bouie, come play on my side, because if I played on their side, they got the score, because I would tattoo their guys, and then they were like, okay, I got you down, next time down, I'll get you the ball. And the other thing that you've got to be good at, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Yeah. The perfect example that I keep looking back at. Everybody remembers Zion Williams? He went 13 for 13 playing against Syracuse, and they like just barely won. If that had been, I was wondering why they didn't. Syracuse could not stop him.
Yeah.
Couldn't stop him. He only got 13 shots. Why didn't he get 26 shots?
Because it was my turn to shoot. That's what it was. Hey, you got yours, I'm going to get mine.
Yeah, no, if you think, I remember Lewis showed me personally once, senior year, in a game, he had no points, 14 assists, and a boatload of rebounds, and I had over 30 points because all of his assists were to me. And I was wide open, and he looked at me and he said, hey, listen, there'll be times when I can score, and we won, by the way, and we won by 3 or 4 points. So every one of the points that I scored, we needed every one of them, every one of his assists we needed, because had he been selfish, there's no way we would have won that game. You know, somebody's got to say, there's sometimes when you walk on the floor, you got to say, okay, to win this game, we used to have a little conversation walking from the bench to center court before the gym ball, and we said a conversation, okay, who's got the weakest, who's got the person that doesn't fit, it doesn't match up. And a lot of times it was Dale, because by being so versatile, having played all those positions, we would just move him around to play against a guy that we knew didn't want to play him, because by having such a strong back to the basket game, you find a guy that's a little not quite as strong as he was, we put him down there, and then we'd give him, not only put him in that position to score, but give him the ball 4, 5, 6, 8 times in a row. And then when everything's said and done, you've built up a lead by using your strong players, and then when they try to stop him, then that's when the ball gets distributed to everybody else.
And that, I love playing guard because I got the little guys on me, and I can get them on my back, and it was easy to, and come down the court and say thank you, Rosie, thank you, Louis, thank you, Marty, thank you, Eddie. Those are the good days. O'Shea Brissett, testing the NBA waters. It's a good thing, but what do you think he needs to do next year to help this team be a better team and to help himself be a better NBA prospect?
Well, the first thing that I noticed about O'Shea, he's got a good mid-range jump shot. You already possess that. I say before I came to Syracuse, I went out and I took a piece of tape and I put a mark on the floor from every place where I felt that nobody could stop me from. So there was like 28 spots on it. No. I put on the left side of the basket in the post. I put on the right side of the basket in the post, and I put a little bit higher in the center of the lane. And then off to the one side, my go-to jump shot off the glass. And then that's me knowing the spots that I'm good at.
10, 12 feet. And everybody should know their limitations. I tell, not to cut you off, but I tell kids all the time, if you can't shoot 35% from the three-point line, don't take that shot. Get into your range where you feel comfortable shooting at and where you're going to be more consistent at. If you watch guys, they come on the court, as soon as they walk in the gym, they want to shoot a three-point shot, or they want to throw a crazy shot at the basket. That's not preparing you for a game situation.
No. So once you understand where your strong spot is, so for O'Shea, I would say he's got a very good jump shot. He's trying to move it out to a three-point shot, but I have 2 words for him: Adrian Dantley.
Yeah.
Adrian Dantley averaged 20 points in the NBA, and he never shot outside of 12 feet. The other thing that I would say to him, he's such a great athlete, and he's really super rebounder. Keep rebounding that ball, because you'll be making yourself very valuable to anybody. But the other thing is, when you put the ball on the floor, he's such a good athlete going to the basket. Sometimes he'll get to his last step when he's right into where he wants to score from, and he will jump back away from the defensive guy to get the shot up. Which, me being a shot blocker, what you just did is you nailed me to the floor when you drove to the basket, and then you took the handcuffs off me when you jumped away from me, because you gave me room, because all the distance that you create when you jump away from me is distance that you gave me to pick a spot and go up and block your shot.
Right.
So with his big body strength, penetrate to the basket, and the last effort before you score, instead of jumping back away from the basket, pump fake once or twice, and then drive right towards the basket. And you'll find out your finishing percentage will go up more. You'll have a chance to score more. And the other guy, as the rules are now, you can't hit him in the head. Just make a little contact, and it's called the snow plow. When you come in there, you don't charge them. You actually kind of get them and just kind of move them out of the way. So even if you miss the first shot, you're in position, you're moving towards the basket to get the second shot and score.
O'Shaper said, good luck in the, your ventures trying to get to the NBA. But also remember, if that doesn't pan out for you this year, get yourself back in the right frame of mind to help Syracuse basketball.
Absolutely.
Stay on the boards, work on that mid-range shot, and keep playing good defense. Yeah. Elijah Hughes, great player, great athlete. He was probably the best all-around player we had on the team this year. There were some instances where I felt personally that he could have put the ball on the floor with the basket a little bit more. He settled for the jump shot a lot, but he was consistent most games.
Elijah, first of all, I take my hat off to him because he's probably one of the best shot blocking small forwards in the league. Guys would get past him and he would come out of nowhere just and eat it. He just like eat it, chew it up, swallow it. He was just so dynamic going after that ball. So what that does is when somebody would get past him, they knew they weren't at the basket. They knew he was going to be coming from somewhere by being such a good athlete, and he would avoid the contact when he went up for the shot. He almost never got a foul for blocking the shots because he would avoid contact and pick a spot and swat the ball away. He reminds me of the classic player, old school player that should play that kind of inside-outside game. They used to always tell me, try to get a couple layups, try to work inside and make them focus on your inside game. Then the next time I caught the ball, I would fake to the inside and I would step back and I would shoot the 10 or 12 footer because everybody's, once you bruise them on the inside, they're going to be kind of hesitant. Then when you just give them a little look, then they will drop off you and give you room for the shot. He's already got the shot. So I would, the way he's playing, he's such a good shooter. I try to make them focus on my inside game more because he's a strong body. He also rebounds exceptionally well. When he puts his mind to rebound, he goes up in the crowd and pulls it down. So a little bit more rebounds and take what they give you. And if they're not giving you what you like, you got that big body, take them inside and use that athleticism.
Well, I'm going to give Elijah a little bit of advice for this summer. When you transferred in from East Carolina, you were so out of shape, you had a little pot belly, you came into Syracuse that summer and you worked hard every day. I watched you work out and you got yourself into great shape. That's what you have to do this summer. Work as hard as you did when you were out of shape, when you're in shape. And you'll be at least 50% better than you were the year before. So keep working hard. You did a great job coming in after transferring and sitting out a year, not having the energy and not getting the playing time, but you proved yourself, and now you're just going to keep going forward.
Absolutely.
Jalen Curry, got a little bit of time this year. Coach says he's a great player. Mm-hmm. He needs to be able to make that little mid-range shot and be a little more of a playmaker.
Yeah.
Where do you see him over the summer and what he should work on and what he needs to work on this summer?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, Syracuse University is going to play a series of games in Italy this summer. So it would be it's the same thing that I was telling you before. It would do him so much good to go there and play because in Italy right now they're putting out some really good guards over there, some really good playmakers. Just playing against that quality of player, and they're smart. I say they're smart because the guys that he plays against over there, he's in his second year. I can guarantee you some of those guys are playing their 7th, 8th years of pro. Right. So there's going to be little things that he can pick up on, little tricks that he can pick up on. Stay in control of the game, and then find your moments when you got to turn on those afterburners because he's got speed that nobody can match. And if you can match that with getting your team to play And once you got the team playing well, you're going to find yourself moving to open spots. You're going to get a chance to get open jump shots. Defense, keep your hands up good. You know, when you've got that kind of quickness, the key for Syracuse is get those loose balls, the long rebounds. Because if imagine a guard like Jalen gets that that long rebound, who's gonna beat him to the basket? It's gonna be him catching the ball. Him getting a long rebound is a major offensive threat anywhere with anybody on the floor, because then whoever runs with him, it's going to create fast break opportunities. Like when Syracuse had Michael Benajay. Michael Benajay could release. He would be playing stone cold hard defense, lock a man up, and the ball would pop free, and that guy would be taking the layup in about 4.5 seconds. He would release and get up the floor. Learn how to do that. You've got that speed. You release, get up the floor. You're going to be a big asset to Syracuse University.
I think that trip over the summer will do them good. It'll give more of a bonding situation to where, you know, we get a little stagnant when you're playing against the same guys all the time, practicing against the same guys all the time. You tend to, you know you can get away with, know what you can do. You get a little bored. So, I mean, this trip will give you a little more binding. Where you're in a foreign country, you're going to want to stick together, stick with your group, because, you know, everybody's going to speak a different language. So all your guys, your team's going to speak English. So you want to, that's how you bond a little bit. And I think this would be a great trip for Syracuse. And Jalen, you know, keep working hard. Coach says you need to work on your mid-range shot. Work on, you know, your little mid-range shot. You got to make sure you have confidence and you're comfortable shooting that little jump shot.
Now, you made me start laughing, because when you said you guys got to be together. I distinctly remember playing over in Italy, and me tipping the scales at about 193 pounds. I put on 3 pounds, and and I was out there playing, and I was setting a pick, and there was a guy over there. His name is Mark Crowe. He played at Duke. He was trying out, and I was an awkward, gangly kid. So if the rebound went that way, I would jump that way, and I'd swing my back arm out to balance myself, and I hit him in the mouth like 3 times. He turns around and he's running me down. He gets right in my grill. He's like, "I'm gonna beat," and I went, and I got pushed like halfway across the room. Shaq pushed him out of the way, and I looked back, and Shaq's going, "Before you can talk to him, you got to go through me." And I'm standing over there going like, "I didn't even know he liked me. We were just fussing up until the other day." And he said, "Well, I can push you around, but nobody else can."
Of course, I'm your teammate. I can yell and scream at you, punch you in the gut. But I'm not going to let anybody else do that to you.
And when I saw that, I was like, wow. And then Hal Cohen and Marty Head used to go at it toe-to-toe in practice really, really hard. And then, so Hal's playing, and he gets hit with a back pick, and then the guy was kind of walked up to him. And Marty Head came from behind and back picked the dude and knocked him down. I was like, "Hey." And Hal's going, he's like, "Well, I can do it, but nobody else can." I was like, "Oh."
You got to protect your teammates.
We bonded together there, and what that trip did for our team was there was no one that could walk on the court and isolate any one of us. You couldn't isolate anybody, because if you tried to isolate somebody over in the corner, you had Dale that would go to help, I'd go to help, you'd have somebody on the bench trying to throw a glass of water at them, whatever they could do to try to help out. You never let an opposing team isolate one player, either on playing defense or try to take advantage of him on offense. They used to always want to hold on to Lewis, because Lewis was a little light. So I used to always tell Lewis, anytime somebody was holding on to him, I'd look at the high post, I'd go like this. And that basically meant, set him up, I'm about to set a back pick and knock the paint off him. And so when that guy gets hit with that back pick, he can no longer hold on to the guy that he's trying to focus on. He's got to worry about, hey, where's that pick coming from? And that's all Lewis needed to get open. So whatever you can do to help your teammates out after that trip, I think you'll notice next year these guys will be playing together, closer together.
They'll be more like they'll be a real family after that trip.
Oh yeah.
Because when you're away in a foreign country, you don't speak the language. You're not going to like the food. You're not going to like the company. You're not going to be with your family. You can't get on the phone and talk to anybody, because it's going to cost you a lot of money. You got to talk to your teammates.
Exactly.
And that's how you bond, and that's how you carry it over for the rest of your life. All right, quickly, let's get Buddy Boeheim. He's, he can shoot the lights out. I think Buddy's situation is he's got to learn how to use a screen, get himself a little bit stronger. He's not going to get quicker because his father wasn't quick. So, that's
Dale said that.
That's not going to happen. All right, but he can get a little quicker. He can work on that. He can get a little quicker. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I really like Buddy because I've watched his work ethic. Like I said before, he will go to the gym and he will work on things. He will be in the right position. He will work on his shot. You're correct. He learns how to use the pick. It makes everything a lot easier. I just think he's got a tremendous upside because it's like when you talk to a center and you talk to a shooter, he can shoot. He'll be able to shoot that ball when he's like 87 years old. He doesn't have to take that beating, that pounding. He has the big guys like us to run around. And if you got a guy that weighs 200, 230, 240 pounds that's willing to run over there and run into your man to give you a little space, take advantage of it. He's smart. I was just talking to Jerry upstairs, and he said he will put in the time. He will work hard. He's going to get better because he's going to put in time and work hard. You can't ask for any more than that. Coach Boeheim told me once, he said, I was feeling all complicated. It was just before my freshman year. Our gym held, I think, like 650 people. And then our first game was like over 8,000 people there. So I walked in there. I was like, okay. So I was feeling a little complicated about it. And Coach came over, and it was like taking a 8,000-pound weight off my shoulders. He said, listen, I can teach you basketball, but I can't teach how to play hard. He said, if you will practice so hard that when you finish practicing, when you go sit down and you have to sit at your spot for 5 minutes before you can reach your shoes and take your shoes off, I can teach you basketball. I can teach how to play hard. He said, what more can I ask of you if you put that kind of effort in? And I went, oh, I can do that. So instead of me thinking about 4,000 things, my thoughts were focused on playing as hard as I can and learning along the way.
Now you tell me, you came here your freshman year and you saw 8,000 people, you were all nervous. Were you more nervous about the crowd or more nervous that Jimmy Williams told you to give him the ball first before you can shoot?
Jimmy Williams, hey, I had to, thank goodness Dale was on the team because I got a rebound and we're supposed to throw the ball, to the side where you turn to, and at that particular time, I didn't throw it that way. Somebody was further ahead, so I threw it the other direction. The next play, Jimmy, don't call me Bug Williams, ran over to me, and he's like, hey, that's my job. You got to give me the ball. I was like, okay. So next play, he's at the foul line. I take that ball, and I wind up, and I throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball about 4 feet over his head. He jumps up, he misses it. I was like, yeah, go get that one. That son of a gun came down, ran down the bounce one time, he caught it, laid it in. I went, holy crap. So, and he used to say things to me like, I've seen the light, the Bouie lies here. and I'm sitting there, and Dale would be on the other side of the locker room, like, he goes, let him talk. I was like, oh, okay. So I had to get my coach in. This is the whole upperclassman thing.
Yeah,
so
don't answer him, just let him talk.
Just let him talk.
All right, last one. Let's get Braswell in there. He's coming back next year. Tough position this year. He had a lot of guys in front of him.
Yep.
Vying for playing time. This could be, sophomore year could be a breakout year for him.
Well, this is my I'll tell everybody straight up front. He's got a place in my heart because he reminds me of Lewis when we first came in. He's always serious when he walks down the floor. He plays hard.
Lewis paying you to mention his name 100 times in here.
So I looked at him and I'm like, because I remember one game he came in, he went back door and he threw it down. I was like, if he plays 5 minutes, he plays hard. If he plays 2 minutes, he plays hard. The great thing about this year is there's time available. There's time to be won. And in this off season right now, these guys in these captains practice don't think it starts when the season starts. It's already decided by the time it's these guys are going to go out there. They're going to say, "Hey, I want that spot. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm going to work hard because I guarantee you, Coach Boeheim has sat him down and said, this is what I need you to do if we're going to play. And if you do that, you're going to get playing time. So there's going to be a bunch of guys out there playing basketball, trying to be that person that can get those minutes. And I think he's got a good chance of being it. He's athletic. He works hard. If he gets 1-2 minutes, imagine him getting even 5-10 minutes a game. He's going to start improving leaps and bounds.
Well, guys, the coach isn't going to tell you anything wrong. I think something important for you guys all to understand